as well. So let's see if we can get there. For this man who is representing Alien Esports in the top right side of 2K Atmosphere, it is the red Terran player MilkiCow.
And his opponent, spotting down to the bottom left, somehow still teamless. It is the blue Protoss player SKillous. I feel like he's the most desirable free agent. I can't believe that a team hasn't picked him up for the World Team League yet. It's so surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is something in the works that we're just not quite aware of yet. Sometimes these things take a little while, so there's a good chance that he is having some advanced talks with a certain team, but they're just waiting to announce it. Maybe it's already arranged. Who knows?
Oh, that cryptic tweets. I love it.
I don't know anything, but I mean, that's what another caster told me, that there is something playing. Did the probe see it?
God,
did it go deep enough?
He missed it. He missed it by a quarter of an inch. Oh, sorry about that. Continue what you were saying. That's just huge.
Yeah, no, I asked SKillous about it, and at that point he said there is nothing to announce yet, or nothing to be super happy about. But then another caster told me, he's like, no, I think I know a little more than you. I'm like, all right, well, that's awesome. I hope it gets announced soon, because I would obviously love to see SKillous be part of a nice, solid, legit organization, because he absolutely deserves it.
Oh yeah, I got to agree. He's a very, very humble, hardworking, talented player, and he deserves all the best. Now, we got to talk about this game a little bit. That's so unfortunate. Like, he was so close to scouting that. I don't think he cancels the barracks, but knowing that it's coming would have been really, really nice. And now the bunker is actually put in a position that you can't safely drop a shield battery where it is not going to be in range of that bunker. I'm pretty sure the Reaper should be able to hit that now. Actually, maybe I might be wrong about that. That might be safe.
Yeah, we're about to find out, but this Reaper is already finding some success. You want to make sure it doesn't get surrounded. That is the most important. Nice micro there by SKillous, soaking up a couple shots, pretending that, like, oh no, you should absolutely commit for this. Wow, the follow-up, by the way, is a Marauder with concussive shells. Now, that is going to be interesting, because I don't think that's something you necessarily expect if you're SKillous. I mean, I said I was curious about the openings of MilkiCow, and that Reaper is in range of the shield battery. And if that shield battery goes down and Marauders show up with concussive shells, that is somewhat similar to the opening that he found a lot of success with against Max Packs on this map. This could get dicey. If SKillous does not get a second battery, he could absolutely be in some trouble.
Yeah, especially with a Hellion coming across the map now to reinforce. It's going to mean that a probe pull is not going to be anywhere near as effective as you'd like it to be. Nice dodge on the SCV. He needs to keep this bunker alive. Does lose the SCV, but that shield battery will fall. And there we go. There is that second setup. Oh, okay. He does kill the bunker. Good job. No salvage coming on in.
Concussive shells is done though.
Ooh.
SKillous splits up his stalkers. Yeah. You want to save it? Can he save it with the probes? Even losing a couple of probes here is not that bad. I think we want to keep this battery alive at all costs, because if we don't keep the battery alive, even the main base. Okay, no, we are not going to keep the battery alive. This is going to be hard, man. SKillous is in all sorts of trouble. Ends up losing both stalkers. The battery will finish up, but now MilkiCow is just going to completely avoid that battery. The follow-up is also going to be Cloaked Banshees by the looks of it. I love this opening from MilkiCow. This young Terran player has some very cheeky, creative, feisty builds up his sleeve, and if he unpowers the gateway in the Stargate here, this could very well be game over, even though we do have a backup island going up. But look at the amount of time that these Stalkers and Marauders, or the Marauders and the Hellions have read. Profile. I mean, even if SKillous gets his Stargate unit out, he is going to lose a ridiculous amount of workers.
And he already has. The damage has been done. 18 probes have fallen. MilkiCow even going to get, almost gets a couple more probes there. Gets an additional one. I think he should cancel that tank and maybe go for a Cyclone, just in order to deal with this. But we are going to see the Hellions coming back in here. And there's actually nothing on the field that deals with this at the moment. Oh, nice round right there. But that was a bit of a mistake from MilkiCow, letting that happen.
I mean, is it a mistake there if he ends up killing? Okay, losing the second Hellion too, that stings a little bit, but the man has killed 24 probes. In what universe are we not happy after we kill 24 probes? Double Oracle on the side of SKillous is going to try to make some magic happen on the other side of the map. He did not cancel the tank, and I don't hate that, because the tank was like 60 or 70% done. We have a Cyclone as a follow-up right now, but even if we end up losing 10 SCVs here, I still love his position. Yeah,
especially since this Cloaked Banshee is going to go pretty much uncontested right here. Oh, going after the tank is a little bit of a weird choice. He can jump on this Cyclone, but it's going to be able to at least kill. Yeah, getting that Oracle. And the other one runs out of energy, and it's game. Just like that. Awesome. Wow, well done by MilkiCow. And the reason I said awesome is that it is not going to be at least a 3-0 in favor of SKillous. So that's... I'm happy to be wrong.
Honestly, a sick build by MilkiCow. I even love how he didn't reveal the Marauder immediately. He could have used that Marauder a bit earlier and then just gone down that battery, but he's like, no, I'm gonna get the battery anyway. I'm just gonna wait, because I don't want to reveal the fact that I'm going for Marauders with concussive shells. And because he waited, SKillous is like, all right, took care of the bunker, now it's just a Reaper, so he splits up the Stalkers, and that's where suddenly a Reaper, a Marauder, and a Hellion have an absolute field day against one Stalker. And by the time that he could get the Stalkers together, they were already in all sorts of trouble. Really sick build by MilkiCow and great execution.
Yeah, that was a brilliant start to the series right there. And that one really hurts for SKillous, because if he did, hit that quick rewind button, look at the replay, he's going to see that he missed the scout on that barracks by like a couple of pixels. And that's the kind of thing where even if you, obviously he eventually knew that there was that setup. Seeing it earlier, if he has the Zealot out, he can potentially prevent that bunker from getting up. Then the shield battery doesn't have to be put in a precarious situation. Everything snowballs from there. It's just, that's one of those situations where it's almost worse to have the information at the end of the game, like how close you were to scouting it.
I think in a dream world, you see it, and then you keep the probe around, maybe at the Zelnaga Watchtower, and then by the time that the first Reaper is in the bunker, you send that probe back to see if that barracks is still there, and if you would then see the tech lab, then he would be immediately able to connect the dots and be like, all right, I know the follow-up is going to be Marauders. I know I need to take this very serious, get a backup battery and whatnot, and these are not the builds that you go up against very often. MilkiCow with just some absolutely fantastic execution there puts himself in the 1-0 lead. In the top right side of Hardwire, we're looking at the main base of the man who's got a couple of cheeky openings up his sleeve. We've seen one. I'm curious to see what the other ones will be. This is MilkiCow.
And his opponent, spawning down on the bottom left, it is the blue Protoss player, SKillous. Yeah, he's going to be looking around his base once again. Obviously, the opportunity for a proxy Reaper would be there once again. Almost if I'm SKillous, I feel like it might be better to just go straight across the map and just get that scout as quickly as possible. But at the same time, there's always that question of, do I change my game plan, or do I, go by what I've practiced? And he is going to stick to it. He's just going to be looking around. But this is a lot of surface area that he's covering for a barracks that's built at home.
Yep. SKillous, we of course know, is a very big fan of the Phoenix Zealot, and that is something that he got a couple of upset victories with a long time ago against the likes of Clem and Gabe. Now he's just kind of using it as a core opening, but he's also not afraid to just go straight into the Phoenix Colossus double Stargate, and that is becoming more and more popular, as Harstem has also been doing that a fair bit lately. And then we just go into those carriers, because I think SKillous will probably feel that even though MilkiCow is very good, in any game where SKillous can get up to 4 bases and he can make his way towards carriers or get himself very far ahead with double Robo Phoenix, he is going to be fine. So I'm absolutely expecting him to try to get there ASAP.
Yeah, I also, whenever I watch SKillous play, I'm always afraid for the Terran of big Colossus charge lot pushes. He loves going for just huge numbers of Zealots, like 30 plus Zealots sometimes, as he maxes out. And it's a cool style because it's a lot of power and a lot of punch, but it is the kind of style that you got to be a little bit careful with, in the sense that you don't want to be stuck on that army. So it's all about, if he does go for that, trading out those Zealots in a way that's efficient while you make your army a little bit more complex. We'll see if he goes for that. But wow, another concussive shell Marauder opening, this time more defensive in nature, but could certainly turn aggressive very quickly.
Yeah, I guess defensively it's kind of nice if the first adept overcommits a little bit and we can just tag it with the concussive shells immediately. And take it from there. But this is looking a lot less promising than the one of the previous game, if you ask me. Especially because these Marauders should not be able to walk all the way to the other side of Hardwire and then still find the success that they are normally looking for. First shot goes off right before Concussive Shells is done. I think letting that Shade finish up is very smart. As a Mule just got dropped, can we get one more hit off on the Mule? Well, we can because the doors are open.
That was a bit of a weird decision right there from Milky. He left the door open, and he also lifted the barracks at the same time. We are going to see a scout coming on down, and that should cause MilkiCow to turn around with this Marauder. But this Adept in the main base is going to get so much damage. Yep, it's already forced a ton of lost mining time. This is a disaster for MilkiCow.
And don't forget that the follow-up, oh my goodness, and don't forget the follow-up is an Oracle, so softening up a lot of these SCVs is great. One more low HP SCV coming in. I mean, a lot of them are one hit away from dying, so we need that Viking, we need that Cyclone. And the fact that SKillous is using Pulsar Beam in the center of the map is actually very nice for MilkiCow. And it's honestly the best thing that he could have hoped for, is that Hellion does get picked off in the main. Definitely a very clean start for SKillous here. I mean, he's got a 13 worker advantage, and it's not like MilkiCow has an eBay, has Stim, has +1 on the way. No, MilkiCow has the most basic units ever on the way, and he's already down 14 workers.
Yeah, this is a Terran's nightmare as a start right here. You already got a slight build order disadvantage with the Stargate versus Concussive Shell Marauder opening. And then not only does your attack get really nothing done, a single Adept just absolutely wreaks havoc on your mining. You have a Mule that has to, you throw it down and it instantly has to be pulled, losing out on probably 4 trips right there. Oh, nice job from SKillous getting to the high ground, breaking that lock on. Will he escape? Oh, that was a great maneuver from SKillous.
Cyclone would love to get another lock on, but to get the lock on, you really need to be quite close to the target that you're trying to lock on. Afterwards, it's okay if it gets a bit out of range, but to get the initial lock on started, you need to be awfully close. It is going to be Phoenix Zealot after that first Oracle, and SKillous has to be loving life at this point. I'm not exactly sure where MilkiCow wants to go with this game. Maybe at this point, the best thing he could do is something that was done by Gabe yesterday, where we go up to 5 barracks and we just go for pure marine tank, 1 or 2 medevacs, maybe +1, and we pull the boys. But even that feels like it's going to take a long time to get there. But playing macro from here on out feels even worse. So I feel like we may as well go for the 5 racks SCV pool all in. I think that's his best way to potentially still make something out of this game.
I got to agree. I think that is absolutely the best option. I was even going to suggest an SCV pull. I wonder... The only thing that's difficult is it's so hard to keep this information from SKillous. As we see the Phoenixes coming on in, they get a nice revelation. They pick off an SCV. Like, they're going to be able to do this. Now, this Viking, that is a big deal that it was not picked off, because now it's going to get in here. We'll be able to find a couple of probes, so that's that's nice. That's not going to be enough to catch MilkiCow up yet, but it's certainly a hell of a lot better than it could have been. Oh man, hello.
Well, that's a bit sloppy by SKillous here. Definitely a little bit sloppy. Maybe thought he already took care of it, or that it flew towards the bottom right. Ends up losing a few more probes, but it's still 3 bases against 2. Charge is already done, and he still has that Oracle, I believe, flying around, just dropping revelation after revelation. MilkiCow is dropping the 2 extra barracks all the way in the back of his main. Now, SKillous is doing that one thing that I saw. I don't know if it was Harstem or if it was SKillous who did this the other day, where he's dropping, maybe it was SKillous actually against Gabe as well, where it's like a Robo and a Twilight Counselor at the same time. Well, if I feel like you go up against this, you don't need both. You can take one, but I don't think you really need both, unless it's just for 1 Observer and then 1 or 2 Archons. But at this point, SKillous should just get ready for the inevitable all-in, realizing how far ahead he is in this game. MilkiCow is not showing any signs of going up to 3 bases. This kind of needs to be an SCV pool, right?
Yeah, no, I think it is going to be... Yeah, there it is. The boys are going to get pulled. He did actually fake this a little bit. He went for the SCV. He put it at the 3rd base, which was a nice, soft sell. And SKillous doesn't yet know that the army is coming. The Oracle goes down without dropping a revelation. He could potentially get caught off guard by this. The thing is, he's already in such a great position anyways. And now the Phoenixes, they are going to spot. Yeah, they'll see all the SCVs coming. He is going to ball up all of his army. Actually, hang on. There's a lot of Zealots on the right side. He needs to pull those back. Very, very important that he got that scout.
Yep, that Archon is going to be perhaps in range of a battery as well. I love the battery positioning. One battery is taking some damage. Widow Mines will get some decent shots off, but this is still a silly amount of Zealots. Guardian Shield is absolutely godlike in situations like this. Marines are in a nice little choke point, but MilkiCow is forced to pick them up, fly into the main base. And once you have to do that, that obviously means all the SCVs will go down and your push has failed. I mean, this game was kind of decided, honestly, after the start. Like, that Adept was causing a little too much chaos in the main base. Then the Marauder Hellion follow-up this time around. When everything is built at home and we don't have that bunker keeping the Protoss busy, it just kind of fell flat on its face. Really didn't get a whole lot done. And instead of being 10 workers ahead, we were 14 workers behind them. And that's a very big difference.
Yeah, it certainly does have a profound effect on the game. Of course, StarCraft 2, a game of snowballing and a game of economies. So when you take a big hit early on, trying to recover is very difficult. When you take the kind of hit that, you know, SKillous delivered to MilkiCow, it's nearly impossible when the players are this strong. And yeah, they SKillous made all the right moves to come back, or well, sorry, not come back, to ensure that MilkiCow could not pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Game 3 is going to be played on Berlingrad. Let's hope we have a little more even game, at least for the first few minutes, because in Game 1 it was obviously all MilkiCow, Game 2 it was all SKillous. Let's hope that 5-6 minutes in, there is potential for both players, and both can make some moves, and we can truly see what they're made of. But Milky is kind of a different kind of Terran. He doesn't have to be cheesy, he definitely doesn't have to be all in, because I think even in the past, we complimented him for a lot of his crazy macro games that he had against Showtime, and even if he lost 0-2, he looked good in the late game, and he's definitely capable of playing a pretty beautiful late game. So let's hope we can get there. In the top left side of Berlingrad, we're looking at the main base of the Dutch-Russian Protoss that living in the Netherlands right now, playing these games from the Team Liquid headquarters. I've just kind of claimed him as one of our own. It is SKillous.
And his opponent spawning down to the bottom right. For X-Alien, it is MilkiCow. And we're seeing, he's proxying at his opponent's natural. Wow. Okay. That is very, very bold. And SKillous, he's proxying just outside of his opponent's natural. We got a bit of a clown fiesta on our hands.
Yeah, this is going to get wild, right? I mean, this is a relatively popular proxy location for your first barracks. The second time we see that today. Shutdown also did it against Spirit, and he definitely got what he was looking for. When he got a cancel on that CC on the low ground, I don't think MilkiCow is going to do that, as he's obviously building a barracks on the other side of the map, and then most of the time you follow it up. Did that probe see it? Yes, so SKillous knows, but he knows too late to really prevent this barracks from finishing up.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Even if he got on it right away, it would have been, you know, close with perfect everything. But, ooh, SKillous has a big opportunity to get something done. Engineering bay block, that is going to be helpful in a macro game. Not going to be helpful at all in this situation. If SKillous waits and drops a pylon to prevent the full wall, he might get a lot of damage done with his Zealot on the other side of the map. Meanwhile, dropping a gate defensively. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't hate it, because I guess he does need something against the Reaper. Because one Reaper with very good micro can potentially kill all your probes. SKillous is aware of that. He is going to drop that pylon, so this first Zealot should be able to get into the main base. Where is MilkiCow building his factory? He's doing it in the back of his main base. He just knows that at this point, he's going to have to deal with something running into his main. It's all about that Reaper. We really can't allow to let our Reaper get surrounded. This Reaper needs to stay alive. Oh, he's going into the middle line. No, mate. That is the one thing he was absolutely not allowed to do.
Yeah, that's a disaster right here. SKillous is going to elect to go after the supply depots instead of going for the mineral line or trying to get, like, kind of nestled between the minerals. What do you think about this? I mean, this will actually supply block MilkiCow. Hang on, MilkiCow's not going to be able to build a factory unit right away.
I think it's actually pretty sick, because one Zealot can also get surrounded and then gets picked up. You lose some momentum, but good luck surrounding two Zealots and a probe. And we have a shield battery going up in the main base as well. I mean, MilkiCow is just in all sorts of trouble. He was not allowed to lose that first Reaper. He does have another Reaper show up, and this Reaper is going to try to help out a little bit at home. But I think MilkiCow is going to lose a lot of workers here. That's inevitable. The question is just how many. And at this point, I have the feeling it's already a few too many, as we've lost 7. And this Stalker with the shield battery. Okay, the shield battery is actually in range of the bunker. But this is bad news bear for MilkiCow.
Yeah, bad news bears is putting it lightly here. I actually don't think SKillous needs to, like, fight right here. I think he could just go to the left and bypass that bunker, go for more SCVs, and then pull back to the shield battery as needed. I feel like he's missing out on a little bit of an opportunity, but he's still so far ahead from this opening.
I mean, SKillous is loving life. He's got 3 Stalkers. Oh, you can go for the Cyclone. I actually think you can go for the Cyclone with 3 Stalkers if the Stalkers would have actually gone for the Cyclone. I think that would have potentially been a kill. He's still going to try. Gets a couple of shots off. Cyclone is in a very dire spot. We need to pull the boys to run the Stalkers. Oh, sick save. Very sick save.
That's really, really nice. Pretty big misstep right there from SKillous, to be honest. Really didn't need to commit in there, at least not through the mineral line. And he does recall out the 1 Stalker. I actually wonder if that Stalker would have gone down if MilkiCow had stopped targeting, because the Reaper was targeting the shield battery during all that. If the Reaper had started attacking these Stalkers, maybe he actually gets that 3rd Stalker as well, and then, you know, maybe he can get something done on the other side of the map with a couple of Cyclones. Who knows? As it is, though, this is a really unfortunate situation for MilkiCow, and I'm not fond of his position.
No, I don't think he's very fond of it either. The double Cyclone, can it get something done? I mean, if the shield barrier is not up yet, if we lose the Phoenix, ooh, Reaper high ground vision. Oh, split second too late. That's really unfortunate. Because if MilkiCow does pick, he does get a very quick cancel. Now, things can still get a little dicey as SKillous loses another Stalker. He does warp into Stalkers. But this is actually going to be a little bit awkward. And SKillous is taking slightly more damage here than I think he was supposed to take. But despite all of this, I think he's still quite all right. But now he needs to make sure that this is it. Let's not make any additional mistakes. I love how MilkiCow is building a Marine, by the way. But then he realized he's like, yeah, there's a shield battery there. That seems like a waste of 50 resources.
Yeah, that was a really weird situation right there. Ooh, does he need to use the lift? No, he does not. That's fortunate. That was a really weird situation because SKillous could have warped in a couple of Stalkers and dealt with that and gotten... Like, he could have prevented that double Cyclone from getting anything done.
Milky is in trouble here, though, by the way, after donating those units, because now all that he really has is a single Widow Mine. I mean, that's just not going to be good. SKillous still had that gateway on the other side of the map. He was able to warp in a few more Stalkers. This Orbital is going to take a lot of damage. There is a Widow Mine that will kill 1 Phoenix. That's great, but that's kind of it. I mean, this Orbital is going to be in trouble. We need to fly it home. He could lift the tank and then he'd just be in a great spot. Why would you lift the Marine? Yeah, exactly. Go for the tank, because now 5 Stalkers can just do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, does he have enough energy for another lift? He will in a moment, but it is additional Phoenix showing up anyways. Actually, he can hit this from the low ground, and the repair is not coming in. MilkiCow is, I mean, to say he's in a world of trouble really doesn't illustrate how bad this situation is for him. This Marine setup is cute on the other side of the map and will actually force a little bit of lost mining time. But SKillous is keeping MilkiCow on 1 base.
Yeah, it is important for SKillous that he doesn't do anything very silly, like throw away too many units. But at this point, there's almost no way for him to even throw away those units. Because MilkiCow barely has anything. He's building 2 Marines, but 1 Marine is going to be on the other side of the map. I'd love to see him use that factory a bit more. We're going to lift this tank as well. Need to repair the living hell out of that bad boy. And do we have enough firepower? Okay, the repair is good enough, and that's very good news. I mean, if MilkiCow can stabilize of the absolutely 0 units that he currently has, then he has a chance with the triple orbital. But he's technically still in a lot of trouble because he really had nothing at home.
Yeah, no, it's a nightmarish scenario right here for the Terran. And SKillous, I mean, he starts up his own 3rd Nexus. He's just going to be firing on all cylinders. I will say there's a couple of moves from SKillous in the last, like 30 seconds to a minute that are a little bit weird. Like lifting the tank the first time, okay, that's totally fine. Lifting the tank the second time when there's already SCVs underneath repairing, it could have been optimized a little bit more. He lifts the wrong mule, doesn't lift the one that was just freshly thrown down. These are all things that, they're not going to cost in this game by any stretch, but they're the kind of things that have me wondering, okay, this is not as sharp as I'm used to seeing SKillous play in the last couple of weeks.
SKillous probably feeling the pressure a little bit too, and knowing that he's very far ahead here. Perhaps not thinking as clearly as he should be. Just wants to make sure that whatever is happening right now will continue. He's going to lift that tank. That's a little bit ambitious. There's another tank in the back. Can he lift that one too? Yeah, he just lifts everything. Okay, the repair is very good on the side of MilkiCow. Losing a few SCVs is not even the end of the world when you have triple orbital and he has no place to even put all those SCVs in the near future. But MilkiCow is actually going to be able to establish his natural here. SKillous did double expand on his side of the map, but 48 workers against 42 SCVs. It's actually kind of still a game, because it's not like SKillous has 12 gateways and charge and +1 ready to just move into the natural, right? It's, in a weird way, still a game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, like, he doesn't even have a Twilight Council to that point. He is going into Colossi, and he's got his first one well on the way. And this time, he finally does get a tank. But you talked about, you know, MilkiCow's prowess in the late game and how he's had some really, really great performances. I mean, part of the way he's able to do that is stuff like going heavy on siege tanks and having them really well positioned. And we've seen a really, really excellent stabilization from MilkiCow in a game where he kind of had no business being able to take his natural. So very impressive showing from MilkiCow, even though he's still in a pretty brutal position. But we got to talk about this. Is this a play out of the Roddy playbook right here?
All the fleet beacons or all the stargates. I mean, SKillous loves it. I mentioned it before. He's a very big fan of the carriers, and I think it's pretty smart if your opponent is going very heavy on the tanks. It almost makes no sense to be super Colossus Immortal heavy, even though that could work. But why make life hard when you can make it easy? And having a quick fleet beacon can also indeed allow you to go into quick Tempest, and Tempests are very good against these tank pushes where it's not so much about the Marines, but it's a lot more about the tanks. I don't think we need to overdo it with the Tempest, but having a couple of safety Tempests is fine. I think SKillous is, in the end, playing this out in a marvelous manner. Well, sure, maybe we could have just straight up won earlier when our opponent literally had one tank and one Marine. But, I mean, he's having a good time, StatFest. Can you really blame the man for enjoying his screen time in the playoffs of the DreamHack Masters?
That's exactly what it is. He just, you know, he's enjoying the limelight. He's like, oh, this is a good game. I don't want this one to end. So I'm gonna make sure it goes a little bit further, and I'm gonna really enjoy this victory. I'm gonna savor this one. Is obviously that's you know, tongue in cheek. That's not really what it is, but it's there is something to be said for beating a player for a long time in a game, and it can be a good feeling. That being said, losing a couple Phoenix for free is not a good feeling. That is the kind of thing you do not want to have happen.
No, it's really bad if you're like on 2 bases or even just barely saturating 3. But since SKillous has 4 bases, pretty much fully saturated, all those gases are up and running, he can survive it because we're already going into carriers. And once we have carriers out, we don't really need the Phoenixes anymore. They can be used for if our opponent would have a very strong economy and goes for a buttload of Vikings. Then it's kind of nice to have a couple Phoenix in the mix with anti-impulse crystals. But that doesn't really seem to be the plan of MilkiCow. MilkiCow is just hoping that he's going up against a bunch of Colossus, a bunch of Immortals. He's actually going to play mech behind this as he's dropping extra factories, but he does have Stim. It's kind of bizarre. I think MilkiCow is just trying to make the best of a very dire scenario.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Has he scouted the fleet beacons yet? Or the additional Stargates in the fleet beacon? The answer is no. So yeah, this is just kind of a Hail Mary play. And now he scans it, he's going to see it, he's going to be like, oh, okay. You have carriers and Tempests. Yeah, I'm going to just head back out if that's all right. We'll reconvene this meeting in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it feels awkward when you're sitting on 7 tanks. He has an 8 tank on the way. I'm like, I think actually the best choice would just be to play pure Marine tank. I don't know if that's possible for him, maybe getting a couple of Thors in the mix, but yeah, pure Marine tank Thor and just get attack upgrades on your Marines. It's probably the best way to make something of this game in a very, in just a very dire scenario that he's in. If he can get up to 4 bases, he should technically be able to get his dream army. This is going to still take a little while. I did absolutely love when SKillous went up to 4 bases immediately. It's like, all right, maybe I was a bit sloppy with the Phoenix. Maybe I could have done more, but I know that I have all the map control in the world. Why go up to 3 bases if I can just go up to 4 bases immediately? and enjoy the monstrous economy that he has been enjoying. If our observer could show the income advantage over the last 10 minutes, like that's crazy. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's a pretty substantial income advantage right there. And I got to agree with you. Like I'm being a little bit critical of SKillous, but it's more so because I've seen him playing so sharply over the last couple of weeks. But all the decisions he's making, everything that he's done, besides some very, very small nitpicky stuff, has been phenomenal. And it's why he is looking to move in with a maxed out army on his opponent's 4th base and deny that. It is going to be really tough for MilkiCow to hold this.
Yeah, if all the Thors were out and we had 6 Thors, maybe. I mean, with a perfect fight, if the interceptors shoot at the wrong things, it's always possible with Marines, because Marines can be very, very good. As we have a little Marine run by in the natural, but that's not going to really accomplish anything. The Viking numbers at this point are just not quite in the right amount of numbers, so we lose a Viking. It really comes down to having perfect Marine positioning and hoping that SKillous miscontrols a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like if those tanks blow up the Colossus, blow up the Disruptors, you know, the Marines gun down the Interceptors very quickly. The Thors are able to tank a lot of fire, and they're able to... actually, are they in the high impact payload mode? I think I might prefer them in the... maybe in their AoE mode for dealing with the Interceptors. I think, like, in this context, normally I would say you want them in the high impact payload mode, but I feel like having the area of effect against the Interceptors might be more useful here.
Yeah, but I think he's relying on the Marines for that. As a couple of Novas do go forward, they soften up a couple of the Thors. One Thor dies immediately. Like, that's a great fight for the Marines there, where it's just like a bunch of Interceptors hovering above them. The Colossus are not in range. SKillous is dropping a lot of gateways, by the way, during all of this, and a couple of extra Robos, where it's just like, well, I know that this is going to be hard to close out, but I just want to make sure that I can have the tech switches. If I want to go into all the gateway units and all the robo units, I can. And if I want to play Skytals, I can also do it. This is kind of an expensive way to clean up some debris if the Terran army is nearby.
Yeah, I think he wanted to get the Interceptors out so he could make a play for another base. I imagine, though, if the Thors were in their AoE mode during that, though. Think about how many Interceptors he could have killed. We are going to see the Disruptors coming on in. Will kill a Thor and a tank. But with the number of Marines, yeah, he's struggling to break through. I don't know if this is the best fight for SKillous right here. He's losing a lot of Interceptors for very little gain.
Yeah, he's on 5 gateways though, and he is rich. He's got all the money, the production facilities at this point. He's getting a couple of extra feisty upgrades. But you do want to be careful, because it's very easy to not just take like a bad fight, but to actually take an absolutely disastrous fight. If units stim forward towards the end of a battle, they get underneath your carriers if you miscontrol the robo units a little bit. So I'm with you. SKillous is definitely not getting the best of trades. Even though MilkiCow, by the way, lost way more resources in this game than SKillous, which I'm actually somewhat surprised by.
Yeah. Oh, Disruptor shot. Okay, he does avoid it. This is the kind of situation where you need to be constantly scanning. You cannot get caught out. Going in with the Marines first. I do not like that move right there. He is going to draw the Interceptors back in towards those Thors. But this is where things start to get really, really difficult, is with SKillous constantly rotating around, looking for holes in the defenses. But MilkiCow, he's maxed out. He's on a very strong army right now.
It's honestly kind of sick that MilkiCow even got here. And then now we're looking at his army. We're like, man, that is a pretty good army. Now, of course, SKillous' army is technically the sweet dream. Does he still have those Stalkers? Now, he got rid of Del, so he does have a slightly better. Losing a couple Phoenix is not too big of a deal either. If we don't get this Orbital and we lose all the Interceptors, then things could start adding up a little bit, but he does blow up the command center very quickly, gets a Thor as well. Disruptors in somewhat of an awkward spot, but actually all of them get out. I mean, I think SKillous is having a pretty good time, but MilkiCow still maxed out and actually has a bit of a bank.
Yeah, and the resources lost that was about 5,000 different a little bit ago is now only 3,700. 3,700? Yeah, 3,700. That's a pretty quick, like... I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, like you said, when both players are maxed out, this is... considering how this game started, I'm amazed that MilkiCow has done what he's done.
Yeah, maybe SKillous should have played just Phoenix Zealot, and then he would have probably just been able to move his way into victory against Marine Tank. We're going to have another big fight here. The interceptor count does not feel very high. It's only at 35 at this point, and I feel like SKillous should technically have a few more. A lot of these carriers are taking real damage too, and the Tempest as well. That means that if we do eventually get that one big battle, this Protoss army is not going to have anywhere near as much HP as it's supposed to have. And we even have the enhanced shockwave finishing up. I mean, 10 Thors for MilkiCow is pretty cool. I feel like SKillous should just be heavy on the disruptors, but I gotta give all kudos to the Terran. He's done a very good job with those tanks and making sure that the disruptors can just fire Nova after Nova on those Thors and get away with it.
Yeah, no, it's been still. The thing is, I still am like okay with SKillous's position, but we should have already seen a SKillous victory screen in theory by now. You know, like this game should have been by all accounts over. Now, obviously, that's not really how StarCraft 2 works. There's a human element involved, and you want to play safely, but I gotta say, this is starting to get a little bit scary. We are going to see an engagement breaking out here on the bottom side. Zealot's getting in on top of the Thors from the backside, and that will allow SKillous to most likely take down this base. Yeah, he's going to be able to take down the orbital. He should back away, I think, but he's going to commit in with the charge line. There's actually no Marines here. Where are the Marines right now for MilkiCow?
Well, they are not here anymore. There's only 9 Marines on the map, and that was actually a phenomenal fight for SKillous. Really good job in realizing that this was a nice moment to send a couple of Zealots in. Feels like we left one Disruptor behind. I don't think the Disruptor really deserved that. They tried to get a Nova out, but now the Warp Prism is here. We're going to warp in 10 more Zealots. Carriers, Colossus, Tempest are looking to close out this game. And even though MilkiCow did manage to max out and did for a split second enjoy a 5-base setup right before his army truly got where he wanted it to be with a couple of goals to drop some EMPs, SKillous takes a couple of great fights with the Carriers, Tempest, and all the Zealots showing up. Well done by SKillous. That game probably went on a little longer than it was supposed to go, but it was still fun.
Yeah, that was a really interesting game after how that went. I honestly think if there's like 20, 25 Marines in that army for MilkiCow, I don't think that SKillous runs him over. I think that game is still going. You know, I feel like he could have probably held. He still loses his 5th base probably, and it's still very uncomfortable. But yeah, I believe, though, we are going to be going to a quick break, a quick mid-series break. So stretch your legs, grab a drink, grab some snacks, and we will be back with Game 4 in a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. We are here for the conclusion of this final series of DreamHack Masters EU Valencia Europe playoffs. This is going to be game number 4 on Blackburn here. MilkiCow making it interesting, but SKillous ultimately able to close it out. I think we were talking about it a little bit of an overcommitment to the Thors. I think meant that the charge lots, the disruptors, they were just way too strong there.
Yeah, and SKillous obviously realizing when there was a good moment to actually put some of those zealots to good use, bringing a prism over. I mean, it was not a very fair fight, and all the kudos to MilkiCow for at one point making it seem like this could become a competitive game, but he was always going to need a little bit of help from this man messing up, and this man hasn't really done a whole lot of messing up lately. He is a Protoss on fire, playing these games from the Team Liquid headquarters in the Netherlands. Up to 1, it is SKillous.
And his opponent showing a lot of tenacity, a lot of piss and vinegar, a lot of gumption. Give it up for ex-aliens, MilkiCow. It's important to note as well that that game started with a double proxy from both sides. Obviously, we know that SKillous had a huge advantage, but MilkiCow, this is now the 3rd of 4 games. Oh my God, it's like SKillous reads his mind. Oh boy,
and this is actually very early. Yeah, this is early, but sometimes you can get lucky with the RNG, and I think so far MilkiCow is getting quite lucky with the RNG. So now this barracks is already getting very high on HP. He's gonna have to move it. I wouldn't just keep it there. That's very risky, mate. This is risky. He could have moved it a bit sooner. He needs to move it again. Now it's safe.
Yeah, it's gonna complete. Yeah, it won't shift positions again until something else goes wrong. Now he does have it locked behind there. The probe just staring down that SCV, waiting for the Reaper to come on out. Still very nice for SKillous to know that it's coming, and I mean he should pull that probe back. There's no reason to leave it there. It's okay. He's gonna just pull this back, but he will be able to get on top of this bunker. Now this is where the RNG is really important because this bunker's getting pretty decently far along.
I mean, the Reaper is out, so the Reaper right now is trying to make it as quickly as possible into the natural. I think this bunker should finish up, unless we get very unlucky. But now the Reaper is here, and the Stalker is not quite here yet. Don't shoot at the pylon. Go for the probes, and that's exactly what this Reaper will do. And now the SCV can still finish it up. But it's still lovely for a Protoss to get this many hits up on an SCV, because now that means that you only need to get one more Stalker shot off, and then they can no longer repair the bunker, as this Reaper also gets a little too close to dying. With the second Reaper, though, we can still create a little bit of chaos, but I love that Stalker positioning, because he knows that obviously MilkiCow wants to repair that bunker, but that SCV is so damn low in HP that he can't really do a whole lot of repairing.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot you can do. Obviously, you can jump it out for a moment, have it on auto repair so it instantly starts repairing, but the damage this Stalker is outputting is way too high. Second Reaper is going to come into the main base. I like this decision for MilkiCow. Instead of trying to reinforce the bunker, trying to get a couple of additional probes, but SKillous is going to be on top of it. Still forcing out an extra probe pull. That's better than nothing. But good, bunker, no salvage.
Really good probe micro there by SKillous again, man. He just makes all of that stuff look easy. It does feel that the more games that SKillous plays, the more confident he's getting, and the more he starts believing in his own abilities to handle these situations correctly. The follow-up are the Widow Mines. And is MilkiCow inspired by Spirit? And are we going to see an armory? I think the answer is yes, there is that armory. So we are going to try to create a lot of chaos with the permanently cloaked Widow Mines. And let's see if SKillous is going to be ready for that, or if it can catch SKillous off guard.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that, as we saw, can be really, really difficult to deal with. Against a quick robo, though, from SKillous, I mean, obviously it's not a guarantee that it gets shut down, but having the ability to have those observers, making sure there's no second shots, is really, really good for the Protoss player. There is always the potential that, you know, some weird splash damage happens and, the observer gets caught in the crossfire. But even if that happens, SKillous should theoretically be able to build another one before the second shot comes on out. But, you know, there's always a chance he just mishandles it. We'll have to see.
SKillous at this point only has a single Stalker in the main, so this is going to be a little bit annoying. Here come the Widow Mines. He is very quick with pulling the probes. Okay, loses 4 to the first mine. That's actually quite a bit. Second Widow Mine. Oh, nice job there with the observer, putting it in surveillance mode immediately, doesn't even have to move it over. Then you don't take the risk of a scan going down and losing your ups. Well done. It's the little things, and SKillous is definitely doing correctly at this point.
Yeah, this is a nice move for sure. And speaking of which, he does not lose track. Oh, hello, where's the observer? Oh, he's dealing with the other Widowmine just walking in there. Oh, almost loses one of those stalkers, but we'll pull it back in time. Didn't have blink, so if the shot had gone off, it would have connected. But yeah, like you said, good defense from SKillous, crossing his T's, dotting his I's, making sure things don't get out of hand. Very funky from MilkiCow, by the way. With the first drop, he didn't send all 4 Widowmines. He sent the 4th one, I think, came into the natural on a rally on the way through, which can oftentimes catch a Protoss player off guard. And speaking of which, we've got the Stalkers moving across the map. This could be dangerous.
Yeah, this could hurt. Now the observer is moving out of position too, so this is definitely the kind of stuff that Terran players love, when they can burrow, on-burrow. The Widowmine in the natural should also get... No, he on-burrowed. Okay, he can get a really big shot off on the gas. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's massive. Well done, MilkiCow. SKillous making life also a little harder there than it needs to be. Because you look at 6, 7 Stalkers on the other side of the map, and what are they doing? Honestly, at this point, not a whole lot.
Yeah, and he is going to blink forward. Now his Stalkers end up getting caught on the other side of the depot, though. Oh my god. He gets it, but what a costly engagement.
That was a clumsy blink. That was a very, very clumsy blink and a very unnecessary blink. One Stalker lives to tell the tale, and it's like, all right, as a matter of fact, it actually costs... Man, this is amazing for MilkiCow. He just had a fantastic 90 seconds with the second wave of Widowmine drops, obviously causing a lot of chaos, getting a good connection on all those probes at the gas, and now SKillous also donating a bunch of Stalkers on the left side. That means that we have a game on our hands.
Yeah, we got a game with a pretty nice situation here for MilkiCow. Now, it's certainly not over. Obviously, we can see that the worker counts are reasonably even. I would say it's a slight edge to MilkiCow, but, well, maybe even more than a slight edge. But this is a situation where we see SKillous maybe a little bit overly eager with a couple of his moves here, costing him a fair bit. We are going to see some nice Blink Stalker micro from him, just kiting against these Marines. Stim combat shield's not yet done, so MilkiCow maybe moving out a little bit earlier than he wants to, but I mean, it's so that he can get across the map and have those upgrades ready to go.
Yep. SKillous picking up a couple of units, is trying to buy some time. At least Charge is going to be ready, and I would love to see MilkiCow just kind of retreat. The moment he realizes that SKillous is not playing one of these super heavy tack styles where he's waiting on all the Colossus to pop up and that's going to make his army strong. No, it's about Zealots. And if it's about Zealots, you just kind of want to make sure your army gets a little bit bigger and you get a couple of Widowmines in the mix. Scan goes down and MilkiCow gets that information now. He still has the double drop heading towards the main. But I think in scenarios like this, it's actually better to keep all your units together. And it seems like MilkiCow agrees with that. I love it. I think it's very smart play.
Yeah, the only thing I will say, there's no anti-armor missile available. Blink coming out to the left side. Widowmine does get an okay connection, not phenomenal. Big warp it on the other side of the map, and he is going to catch MilkiCow unawares. Jumps on this army, forces the lift off, and a nice quick move into the main base will make things a little bit uncomfortable, but a good 1-2 punch right there from SKillous. Getting a lot of SCVs here on the bottom side of the map as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually a few too many SCVs. I think that there was a better way to deal with that, as the friendly fire blows up the Marauders too. One Zealot still lives to tell the tale. I would have loved to see MilkiCow actually just unload in the main base and use an auto turret to create a bit of a choke point, because all that SKillous was working with were a couple of Stalkers and Zealots. They would have a very hard time getting into the main base and actually deal with 2 medevacs full of bio and an auto turret that's there to soak up some shots. I think MilkiCow missed out on an opportunity there.
Yeah, I think that was a... I mean, you talked about a good 90 seconds for MilkiCow. How about a good, 30 seconds for SKillous, where he just really, really kind of reclaims the momentum. And now we've got a lot of units trapped in medevacs right here. A bit of a sandwich situation coming on in. Anti-armor missile, good. The Widowmines are huge. And I think SKillous might need to back away from this one. Yeah, there's a really good position on the Terran army. Actually, never mind, no SKillous. There's just not enough on the ground for MilkiCow.
Now, with a couple of extra units showing up, it could potentially be enough, but we're obviously dealing a lot of damage here already if we're SKillous. We are loving this, and we kind of need this. This observer is very important. It's going to reveal all these Widow mines, and those mines will get taken out before they can fire again. Poor MilkiCow loses 10 SCVs again. And this was a game that had a lot of potential at one point. Unfortunately, that prism of SKillous really just kind of ruining everything that MilkiCow is going for himself. Couldn't take the best fight, couldn't save the SCVs, even losing a couple of the reinforcements. And SKillous doesn't need to keep pushing, but he's like, you know what, it's all been going so well, maybe I should try again. But don't forget about what happened earlier in this game, SKillous, when we lost 5 Stalkers to kill one thing.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of situation where you really, really need to just take a deep breath and just chill. Just chill. You have a huge advantage right now in the game. You're up in workers. You got a gold base. You got a 5th Nexus now on the way. Just do exactly what he's doing. That's teching up. That's adding on more upgrades. He's making the right moves here. He does still need to, you know, chill and not actually commit into the natural. If he can get that Raven, that would be a really nice pick off. But MilkiCow will eventually be able to resecure his 3rd base, and that's fine for SKillous. That is okay.
MilkiCow throws down a scan on the other side of the map to see how far behind he is, and he sees the fully saturated gold and even saw a couple of probes already traveling towards the top right. And that's when you know it is not looking too hot anymore. The man has built a lot of SCVs in this game. He has lost 26. Now he's actually kind of walking into his surround. There is a War Prism and Zealots on the right side. The rest of the army is in the top left. MilkiCow is just going to send it. He's going to go ahead and try to end this game. It's not a bad choice against only Zealots and Stalkers. But yeah, the reinforcements, I think, are going to be the biggest issue.
Yeah, this is a situation where SKillous sees this move from minute 1. He's going to set up for a huge surround. This is looking so good for SKillous to advance on to the next round. Huge Widowmine shot is going to connect, and a lot of those Zealots actually getting obliterated. Hold the phone. SKillous, all of a sudden he's down like 25 army supply. Those Widowmines were huge.
He's got disruptors though. There's the first Nova. I think he has another one. Don't forget he has a battery overcharge and he can reinforce for days with all the bases that he has. The Widowmine shots were fantastic, but I'm afraid for MilkiCow that it is not quite going to be good enough, as he's now down to 23 workers. And he needs to end the game right here, right now. Every single second that goes by is great for SKillous, who's building multiple disruptors at a time, and he's warping in 10 Zealots as well. I think that this is going to pretty much do it. MilkiCow knows it, and SKillous knows it as well.
Yeah, there was a very scary moment for just a second where those Widowmines, they must have killed like